Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Betting Leaderboard. I'm your host MMAce. Vegas 88 Tuivasa Taibura recently ended. What a mess this card was. We knew it was suspect going in, but they took whatever potential it had and just rubbed dog shit all over it. But we'll see as we go along. Let's review the fights, and then we'll review our guys' picks and see how they did. See what it does to their overall totals, and then we will round it out by checking in on B.L.A.B.S, our betting leaderboard's auto bet system. It gave us, I believe, 4 picks to go with this week, and I don't think I'm going to like going over them, but we will. All right, let's get started. The very first fight of the night was between Charalampos Grigoriou and Chad Anheliker. Grigoriou was the favorite. Both of the guys were swinging hard. It seemed like Anheliker was pushing the action a little bit more. A good amount of time was spent with Anheliker clinched up on the back of Grigoriou trying for the takedown. They ended up on the ground, and it was eventually reversed by Grigoriou, who was on top at the end of the round. Anheliker, for his part, was looking for subs from wherever he was at. In the second round, Grigoriou shot immediately. There was lots of clinch. Seemed like Anheliker was landing blows. Grigoriou wasn't doing much of anything. In fact, the ref came in and separated him for non-action. Separated the guy back to swinging. Anheliker got in a bunch of leg kicks. Seemed like Grigoriou had spent his energy. He was just grabbing and holding mostly. Third round, Anheliker kept it up, striking. Grigoriou was covering. Anheliker was pretty sharp on his feet. He was doing body work, calf kicks, combos, just kind of mixing everything up. Pretty easy. Grigoriou seemed to have very little head movement. He was getting popped repeatedly with head kicks, front kick to the face. It wasn't really close. Unanimous decision for the upset, Anheliker. The second fight on the card was between Thiago Moises and Mitch Ramirez. Moises was the better of the two and controlled most of the fight. He was patient and methodical, according to the announcers. He had his takedown in the first minute of the first round. He got some shots in, but mostly was just on top and patient. You could definitely see his strength. Moises managed a rear-naked choke attempt. And my God, the announcers, it's consistent throughout almost all of them. The second anyone gets anything that looks close to a submission, they start screaming about how tight it is. He's got it here. They're like the news media. It's not about getting it right. It's about getting it first. If they were baseball announcers, every single fly ball would be a home run. This one's gone. Oh, no, we caught it 40 yards in front of the warning track. Have some restraint, boys. Immediate clinch in the second round. While they were on their feet, there was big strikes being thrown, but a lot of missing. Then back to the clinch. Moises was at least striking during the clinch. By this time, Ramirez's left leg has become a spectacle, to say the least. Of course, Moises knew this and stayed on the calf, getting a ref stoppage in the third round because of leg kicks. TKO Moises. Next up was the first ladies' fight of the evening. It featured Jacqueline Amorim against Corey Mckenna. This one was pretty quick. There was a little bit of striking to start. Amorim just jumped up on Mckenna and pulled guard. Very quickly, Amorim threw in a triangle that seemed to completely catch Mckenna, and she transitioned this into just a ugly armbar. It seemed like Mckenna's hand started to tap almost involuntarily a couple times, like her brain was going, that's what's going to happen, but she wasn't into it or something. So it looked, she never tapped, but it looked like a couple of times her hand was getting ready to make the motion maybe or something. Anyways, the ref stepped in and broke it up, told him to stop. Mckenna immediately protested. Amorim let go of her hold on the armbar, and the ref just goes, bap, bap, bap. apparently his way of telling them to get back to the action, so luckily the positions didn't change much. Amorim quickly grabbed the arm and went back to it, and within seconds got the actual submission. She was bending it past where it wanted to go. She was taking the thumb and just wrenching on it, so she was wrenching on the wrist as well as bending the elbow the wrong way, and there was just no chance for Mckenna. That was beautiful by Amorim. And you felt bad for Mckenna. She had some time off that she didn't really feel comfortable with, but got some stuff taken care of in her life, apparently, and came back and not only to lose, but to lose so convincingly and so quickly. It's bound to take the wind out of the sails for a little while, but hopefully she'll rebound fine. Jacqueline Amorim, submission armbar. Just real quick, if you're noticing the difference between the lines that I put up above the guys' heads and the lines on the information chart at the very beginning of each fight, it's because my lines are the ones from DraftKings on Monday, which is when the guys make their picks. So, of course, the lines move throughout the week, but I definitely want to go by the ones at the time that I collected the picks. So, back to it. Next fight up was between Josh Culibao and Danny Silva. Silva missed weight by 2.5 pounds. I really get frustrated with that, but it doesn't seem to bother the UFC too bad. So I say the penalty for how much of your pay you fork over goes up by each half pound or something like that. Or you just automatically forfeit if you miss weight. The UFC pays out your penalty, and then they take it out of your pay for the next fight if you ever fight again. Or we just shoot them right in the head. No, all right, I'm getting carried away. It's just a couple pounds, but it's a couple pounds. It makes a difference. They don't have to go as deep into a weight cut. They got the extra muscle mass. It's silliness. All right, I got to get at least one rant in, although I've got a few more saved up too. So these guys started out just cracking. Silva had Culibao hurt with a uppercut. You could just hear the difference between this fight and the previous fights, as if we had a big step up in level, and maybe we did. Culibao's got a nice jab. Both were throwing hooks to the body. Silva got a takedown, and Culibao seemed to be hitting his stride with the striking towards the end of the round. He continued into the second round, getting the better of it. Abdomen kicks. Silva had the bigger shots when they'd land, but Culibao was getting more out of the exchanges. And then, unbelievably, ever since I started looking for this, it happens all the time. We've had another fence interference with the little gap along the edge where the fence meets the canvas. Got Culibao this time. I shall show you. They're facing each other. He steps back. No contact from Silva. His heel catches that little gully, loses his balance, and goes down, all while he's trying to defend himself. One of these times, it's going to really fuck somebody up. It already hurt that guy's knee a couple weeks ago. One of these times, it's going to cause someone to stumble forward into someone else's uppercut and, cost the whole match. It's ridiculous. I'm going to keep saying it. Ridiculous. Appalling. Fix it, Dana. So in the end, we went to the cards, and I thought it was pretty obvious that it was going to go to Culibao. But here's another entry for the What Do I Know files. They called it for Silva. Split decision. It was a good fight, and I didn't have any money on it, but I still just don't like to see it. But if there was any controversy over this one, it will be quickly forgotten. And as MMA Guru would say, we move on. Next fight up was between flyweights Filho and Osbourne. This one was kind of in the clinic category. Ode looked limber, and they were exchanging some strikes at the beginning, but by the first minute of the first round, Filho got a takedown. He got Ode's back. Osbourne was fighting, but he couldn't really get up. He'd throw some blows every once in a while, but he didn't have enough strength or enough maneuverability skill to get out from under Filho. Filho would ground and pound, but not do too much to risk getting thrown off or anything like that. Eventually ground and pounded his way into a rear naked choke, and that was that. And nicely, he thanked Jesus, who we all know is a big fan of violence. Just joking. Far be it from me to criticize someone's religion. Up next was the second of 3 women's fights. This one between Josiane Nunes and Chelsea Chandler. Is it just me, or did Chandler look 2 divisions heavier? I know she was off weight by a pound, but give me a break. They were swinging hard when they were on the feet, but quickly they were in the clinch, and Chandler just muscled her down like a beast, but not much action. Chandler got in some hard strikes towards the end of the round. Nunes came out hard in the second round, caught Chandler. I'm sorry, did I see her run away again? Chelsea was swinging some combos, but they were brutish, just clubbings. Chandler was on her back for a while, was giving heels to the stomach of Nunes. Nunes got Chandler's nose leaking pretty good. When Chelsea was on top, she was landing big elbows, and nothing much at all from Nunes. Nunes was landing some shots towards the end, but she was really out of energy. Chandler was smacking Nunes every time she tried to come in. Unanimous decision, Chelsea Chandler. Next up, Mike Davis versus Natan Levy. Natan Levy being the third person that's missed weight. Him by a half pound, but how do you miss by a half pound? Regardless, it was no help against Davis. Very quickly in the first, Davis landed a right-hand blast. He followed it in to get on the back of Levy, and then a bunch of nothing. Eventually, he was on the ankle, trying for a knee bar. Natan had a couple of glimpses of positivity, but to no avail. Davis again maneuvered to his back, locked up a head and arm choke, and a few seconds later, Levy tapped. Second round, head and arm choke, Mike Davis. I think Natan Levy took this on short notice, but even so, if I was him, I'd be looking for that Schitt's Creek reunion. He's not one of those Levies? Okay. Stick it out with the MMA. First of all, between Brian Barberena's hair and Gerald Meerschaert's porn stash, I almost took this fight off. And did Barberena, was he the one with the painted nails? Which, if that was done by his kids, if he's got little girls or something, then that's cute, fine. But to let him cut your hair too is just questionable at best. Anyway, I did stick around and watch it. Barberena was swinging, looking for the knockout. Meerschaert's chin is a little susceptible. Obviously, he's better on the ground. He's got some decent stand-up, but if it's a situation where he hangs out too long, he's bound to get cracked. So he'd rather get it on the ground, which he did. But Barberena got in some good shots, even though he was missing a lot. I think he dropped Meerschaert a couple times. One was more of a barreling over. Whatever works, but I think Meerschaert was looking for a reason to get on the ground. Meerschaert, despite maybe a vulnerability, was doing the walking him down on the feet. He had strong jabs going. In the second round, Meerschaert got a hold of Barberena, takedown, and out. Rubber arm, look at my pretty nails out. And gentleman that he is, Meerschaert grabbed Barberena's legs and lifted him up. Get some blood flowing back to the head after his rear naked choke submission. And up next was the final fight for the Phillies, a matchup between Pani Kianzad and Macy Chaisson. See that accent? That's one semester of high school French. I hated that teacher, by the way. She was a short old lady. She only spoke French, even though it was French 1. I don't mind only speaking French and French 3 or something. And so once you get behind by a week, that's it. There's no catching up because you're lost. Plus, she had a constantly blinking her eyes tick. I found the whole class unsettling. Chaisson is definitely tall. Nice kicks, nice knees. On the ground, Kianzad was getting in some pretty hard shots from the bottom. We had an armbar attempt. Chaisson was strong on her back. And finally, we had a rear naked choke submission. This next fight was unbelievable. It was a matchup between Isaac Dulgarian and Christian Rodriguez. So here's what went down. In the first round, Dulgarian was all over Rodriguez. Complete domination, complete control. There was no one that didn't think it was a 10-8 round, and that's what all the judges scored it, 10-8 for Dulgarian. The second round was closer in the fact that Chris Rodriguez ended up with, I think, 3 more strikes, 18-15 in that round, which is negligible, of course. But Dulgarian controlled something like 4.5 minutes of the round, and of the other 30 seconds, Rodriguez only controlled like 5 seconds. And this wasn't just takedown and delay. Dulgarian was active as shit, always looking for some way to finish. Chris Rodriguez was strong and trying to get loose, but Dulgarian was all over him and wouldn't let him go. There's no way that second round was anything but 10-9 Dulgarian. In the third round, Dulgarian gassed so bad he looked like an absolute amateur. He was just grabbing wherever he could and hanging on for dear life, looking at the clock. But he would have known that he had round 1 and round 2 in the bag, with probably a 10-8 round in round 1. So in his mind, he'd be up by 3 points. He'd have to have a 10-7 round for Rodriguez just to go for a draw. So despite being absolutely whipped, there was really no way at all that he could lose the fight unless he got knocked out. But the judges saw it differently. 2 out of the 3 anyway. Gave the second round to Rodriguez, and that's just absolutely deplorable. Next fight on the card was the featured bout of the night. Oven St. Preux against Kennedy Nzechukwu. I know everyone's pronouncing his name different now. This is the way I heard it years ago, and quite frankly, I like the way it sounds better. So Nzechukwu it is on this channel. When the week started, as far as our odds on DraftKings, he was a minus 575 favorite against 40-year-old OSP. Yet, he got the worst of it for 3 straight rounds. It was an active fight. They were both throwing lots of punches, striking, but OSP was doing much more. His jab was just thumping, lots of front kicks. It just seemed like, everyone in the audience was waiting for Nzechukwu to go, all right, this is a 40-year-old man in front of me, and I should be able to thump him. Let's get to thumping. But he basically just did a hard sparring session, and then I think assumed the judges would go with him. And of course they did not. After 15 minutes, split decision for Oven St. Preux. I liked the man, but I was hoping he'd lose so they'd kind of jettison him, from the roster. Now we're going to see him until he's 48 or something. This next fight kind of encapsulates the absurdity of the whole evening. It was between Brian Battle and Loosa. Brian Battle was looking pretty good, For whatever reason, he's not ever been one of my favorite fighters, but I really grew to him tonight. Mostly because of the improvement in the skills, so I know that he's working and takes it seriously. He looked really strong. And then the attitude with the post-fight interview and how everything went breaking down, his stock really rose for me. So if you didn't see it, they were scrapping through the first. Battle was getting the better of everything. He was doing flying kicks, flying knees, all kinds of striking. Was really in his groove right from the beginning. He was basically in control the whole way and kind of piecing up Loosa. And then we came to round 2. Again, Battle was dominant, definitely getting the better of Loosa. And then it happened. Loosa was coming up. No one talks about this, but he cracked Battle in the chin with his head. They called it a headbutt, but it wasn't a headbutt because there wasn't 2 heads. There was a head and a mouth. But it didn't even faze Battle. And as they were recovering from that, Battle pushed his hands out and got a thumb in the eye of Loosa. It didn't look like the worst thing in the world. And right afterwards, Loosa was looking around like everything was fine. Obviously, it's doesn't feel good, and it's got to be a little blurred and teary and stuff, but it wasn't a situation where he was Mr. Magoo. He was given 5 minutes. or told that he could have 5 minutes, but somehow before then he decided that he can't see out of his eye. And as soon as you say those, that's the magic words. The ref has to stop it then. They can't have people with compromised retinas or something going in there and hitting each other in the head. On top of the fact that he wouldn't be able to defend himself. So the fight was called. Battle was furious. It was called a no contest, so he gets nothing out of it. And then they came to the middle for the official call. And just as that was over with, Battle just turned to him and said, "You're a pussy, man. I can't believe you can't go on." And that just set Loosa off. He's, "I'm going to kill you," and trying to get at him through a bunch of people and stuff like that, and using eyes that could see very well, obviously. So if you're going to tell someone that you want to kill them and you're going to fight them, and it's 15 seconds after you had a sanctioned fight in a ring with a bunch of people watching that you walked away from, I'm going to have to say I don't really have respect for you. It was a debacle. The only thing worse was that Battle said he'd want to run it back. I know he wants to beat the shit out of the guy, but don't give that guy a time of day. Just move on and, fight somebody that's going to show up and stay there. Give Battle somebody that's not a quitter, and let's see how he does. Last fight of the night, the main event, featuring Tai Tuivasa taking on Marcin Tybura. The heavyweights were swinging right off the bat. Both of them know how to throw the haymakers. Tuivasa had Tybura cut within the first 30 seconds. It was on the top of the head and just raining down blood over his face. But Tybura was getting the better of it. He hit him with a head kick and then got the takedown, which pretty much signaled the end of it. He was just delivering brutal ground and pound, just back and forth, club. Tuivasa's head was basically a speed bag. After Ty was good and softened up, hit him with the rear naked choke, and that was all she wrote, folks. Marcin Tybura, submission, rear naked choke. I don't know about Tuivasa. Obviously, he's a fan favorite. I like him a lot. Nice guy. The Shiwi thing's fun. But he obviously doesn't spend a whole lot of time in the gym or on the treadmill. And that's fine if you're winning, but if all you have is Hail Mary punch and prayer, I think it's time for us to kind of reevaluate where his place in the company is. He had a nice run and got close to a championship attempts, but back to reality now. All right. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Apologize. I won't do that again. But I get excited. This is our Handicappers pick results section. See how their picks lined up with the actual outcomes, and then afterwards we will go over the overall totals and update them after the results of this card. Let's go. I always say this is the part where the rubber meets the road, and I think our poor betting leaderboard's auto bet system is riding on rims. But let's check out the guys first. As we do, we'll start with 5th place and work our way up. We begin with MMA Experts. They went 6-6 this week, bringing their record to 63-43, a 59% winning percentage, back down into the 50s. And after tallying up the dollars, AJ was a minus $289 for the week to bring him to a negative $963.41 overall. Having a bit of a tough time with it, but it's still early, mid-March. In 4th place, we have Angelo with We Want Picks. He went 7-5 this week, which was the best that anybody did. Brings his total record to 66-40, a 62% winning percentage. He did lose $84 on the week to bring his new total to a minus $494.68. But this contest is all relative. He just might be doing the Jeffersons thing. We shall see. In 3rd place, we've got Duffy over at Sure Dog. He had the worst of it this week record-wise, going 5-7, bringing his overall record to a 65-41 count, 61% winning percentage. That added up to an ugly minus $444.82 to bring his overall total down to minus $712. I think Angelo is coming. Next up, MMA Guru, coming into the week in 2nd place. He was one of the 3 of our guys that went 7-5, the best record this week. That brings his overall record to 68-38, a 64% winning percentage. He and DFS by the numbers had the exact same picks this week, so they both ended up losing $13. For Guru, that brings him to a positive $37.23 and a still stronghold on 2nd place. Last but most is DFS by the numbers. 1st place went 7-5, keep pace with Guru, making his record 69-37, 65% winning percentage. Like I mentioned before, he lost $13, bringing his total to a positive $425.96. Down from where he was last week, but certainly he is in the penthouse for now. And now my heart gets ripped out and stomped. 2nd week of B.L.A.B.S, 2.1. We had such high hopes. But I tell you, it's hard to be down when you got the Dulgarian thing. That was just absolutely ridiculous. That was a win. That was a $200 swing for us. Well, not $200, but $150. So anyway, we had Mckenna first with a half bet. That was a minus $50. Then we had Filho, our only win for the week, a positive 55.56 added on. Then we had Dulgarian. What a crock of shit. And we rounded it out with Tuivasa just because we had another $50 in our pocket burning a hole. So we can stitch the hole and not have to worry about it now. And that's luxury. I have faith in you, B.L.A.B.S. Our guys are going to come around. The input's going to improve. And I think we're set where we are. So we're going to sit for a minute and get out of the red, back into the black. I think that's the way it goes. Till next time, everybody. Oh, and look for a possible position change on your way out during the closing theme when the guys' placards come up. On recap nights, it'll show the new numbers and the new positions if there are any. So stick around if you're interested. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.